Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Tasmania's political panorama continues to rupture, with Cassie OConnor announcing she's stepping down as Greens leader and leaving the lower house. 15 years of wrangling within Parliament's walls have taken their toll, with Ms OConnor saying she needs a break before taking on her next political fight.
Approaching hand in hand.
Hey folks.
Only to split a Green alliance.
I need a break. I need to clear some space in my hard drive.
After driving hard bargains over 15 years in state parliament, Cassie OConnor says her party needs renewal.
Every leader has their time.
Now it's Rosalie Woodruff's time, taking over as the Greens' acting leader. Another wilderness warrior in Vicar Bailey is expected to take her place in the seat of Clark. But today's announcement is only a retirement of sorts. Ms OConnor will run for the upper house, currently made up of 4 Liberals, 4 Labor and 7 Independents.
We need a Green upstairs.
Although the political pendulum won't swing drastically from today, Cassie OConnor leaves as one of the highest profile members of Parliament. Once a Southern Cross News reporter.
Good evening, I'm Cassie OConnor.
With a taste for environmental and social justice journalism.
We'll see local shooters converge on Cameron's Inlet for their sport.
She became the face of an anti-development fight in Ralphs Bay, east of Hobart.
The single biggest threat that we can identify to Tasmania's coastline.
That propelled her to Parliament in 2008, before entering a fractured power-sharing agreement with Labor after the 2010 election, where she became the country's first Greens member to hold a cabinet ministry.
She has a rapier wit, she's got an acid tongue, and I reckon there's more than just a couple of state ministers who are relieved that she won't be there for the next sitting of Parliament.
Premier Jeremy Rockcliffe acknowledged Ms OConnor as a passionate advocate for the Greens, while the party's spiritual leader Bob Brown called her the real opposition leader.
I don't know how people will remember me in the chamber. I hope most remember me well.
One thing's for sure, she won't be forgotten. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
The Ashley Youth Detention Centre will likely not close as expected next year. An inquiry into the state's correction systems has been told the timeline is up in the air. Also hearing Tasmanian taxpayers are spending more per day than any other state or territory to lock up criminals.
Our prisons are bursting at the seams. The parliamentary inquiry investigating the state's correction system told they are nearing capacity at 88%, and it costs $561 per day to house an inmate. Also hearing there's been an 18% rise in new inmates since 2015 compared to the national average of 5%.
There is an increase in the severity of the types of crime and the attitude, I think, also of offenders. Really quite dangerous and violent crime that we're seeing.
Youth crime also a concern, with more than 200 people aged 11 to 17 appearing in watch houses just this year. Unions say staff lack training in how to handle them.
Staff are cautious and scared sometimes to handle young people. They're scared that if they do the wrong thing, they're going to be laid off for 12 months while an investigation happens.
The department also grilled about when the infamous Ashley Youth Detention Centre will finally close. Originally planned for late next year, that target is under pressure.
Whilst we've remained committed to the ambition of closing Ashley as soon as possible, and 2024 is the date that was announced, we believe that's going to need to be updated.
The Youth Minister says a new firm time frame won't be announced until locations and costs are locked in. But the Department of Public Prosecutions believes the government can save money by locking up only dangerous criminals.
Removing non-violent offenders from Tasmanian prisons would result in savings of approximately $47 million per year.
Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
Sustainable Timber Tasmania will review its procurement policies after a Victorian company beat a local business to a major haulage contract. Labor has hit out, saying the government's buy local policy has failed.
We've seen Minister Ellis lurch from one crisis of his own making to another. Forestry is no different. We have a Tasmanian business that has missed out on a contract because Minister Ellis is claiming that he was blindsided.
We want to put Tasmanians at the forefront to ensure that those jobs can be provided here in Tasmania wherever possible, and that's exactly what the Minister's doing.
The state-owned forestry company will now pause all tender processes. TasTAFE has lost an appeal over proposed changes to workers' pay and conditions. The Education and United Workers Unions took TasTAFE to the Fair Work Commission last year, demanding new employees get the same conditions as those currently working.
How TAFE think that they can attract and retain good staff to teach our next generation of apprentices and trainees on a lower wage than what someone else can offer is absolutely absurd.
We're investing more than $100 million in terms of providing new support, teachers and support for younger Tasmanians to deliver the skills and training that they need.
Both unions want the state government to now focus on delivering higher wages and 100 new teachers. Two new homes for people living with disability will soon have tenants living in them. The properties in Newstead have officially been completed, with priority applicants on the housing register to move in. The units have been designed in line with national guidelines.
The doorways are a bit wider, there's space in the bathrooms which allow for access and mobilities if somebody's using an aid of some description.
Homes Tasmania is supporting the project with a $270,000 grant. Two Hobart institutions are teaming up with the Salvation Army to give those in need access to much needed medical care. The Health with Dignity program will help cover the cost of seeing a GP, buffering vulnerable people against the soaring cost of living.
For Keith Lynch, getting to a doctor is critically important, but while he needs support for a number of medical issues, paying for it is tough. He was recently released from prison with a little over $300 to his name.
With what I had been released from prisoners, I couldn't even pay my rent.
With our nation's health system getting sicker by the day, people like Keith have to decide between eating or seeing a GP. The Salvation Army wants to ease the burden for vulnerable people through its Health with Dignity scheme.
Someone calls up, wants some help to see a GP, we arrange that, and then they get their health needs met.
It does take the stress off. Had I've had to do that myself, it'd be months before I go back to the doctor.
Covering 3 visits per person, staff will even accompany patients. The City of Hobart and Hobart Airport are tipping in $15,000, but there's already a search for extra money.
I think the funding will be spent fairly quickly, so the demand's quite high.
For a lot of people who can get to see a doctor paying the gap of a GP visit is no longer an option.
The end goal, providing a shot in the arm for a healthy Hobart.
Help people achieve better health, to have a better life, and also just to have their needs met.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
A humble community hero who has made life a little more comfortable for thousands of Tasmanians is finally putting herself first. Known as the Beanie Lady, Leanne McDonald has spent a decade knitting headwear for those in need, but now her yarn is up.
If footy players hang up the boots when they retire, Leanne McDonald's version is, well, hanging up the beanie.
Makes me feel good for doing something, just something simple as a beanie.
She's calling time after injuring her arm in a bad fall, meaning she can no longer knit. Thousands of Tasmanians owe Leanne for her warm heart, giving so many a warm head.
Makes me feel really proud that I've achieved something I thought I'd never do.
For nearly a decade, Leanne has spent countless hours making these beanies, which she has hung up around town. Today was her last donation in a pursuit out of pure kindness.
I've had a lot of people come and say the beanie's just enough, it keeps them warm. I only wish more people can do this sort of thing and help them out.
From here in Mowbray, these head heaters have made their way all around the world, a global footprint for grassroots goodwill.
I've had people come and grabbing them for their friends in New Zealand even. Some have gone to America, I've just found out today.
A generosity many are so grateful for. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
Cat lovers in the Sorell area will be taught about responsible ownership as part of an initiative to protect local wildlife in the Pittwater Nature Reserve. The Midway Point project is a brainchild of 10 Lives, Tassie Cat and the Sorell Council. All three groups will work with the local school to survey members of the public.
Based on the response from the community, we will determine what will be the future. But possible actions is to do some camera surveys, microchipping days.
There's been a lot of evidence over the years of cats being a problem, both some feral cats and also roaming domestic cats.
The survey can also be accessed through the 10 Lives website.
The Hobart Hurricanes have locked in one of the state's best young talents. 18-year-old leg spinner Amy Smith has signed a 2-year contract extension, pushing out her time in purple after making her professional debut at just 14. She says she is excited to focus solely on cricket this season, now her studies are out of the way.
Just as she went on the exams normally hit big bash right in the middle, back end, so the stress was definitely there, and then just, I guess, spending a lot more time with the team and having more time to work on my skills is definitely going to be a lot better without school.
Meanwhile, the WBBL fixture has been released. The Canes will open their season in Launceston on October 20 under lights on a Friday night. They'll play 2 games at UTAS and 4 at Blunston. In the TSL, Glenorchy is hoping to honour its coach's big milestone with a strong performance against its bitter rival. Josh Arnold will play game 250 tomorrow night when the Magpies host Clarence. Teammates today praising his contribution to the club.
To see where he's come as a person, as a player, and now as a coach, he's extremely passionate, and I just really hope we put in a good performance for him tomorrow.
Kingborough will return from a fortnight break this weekend, hosting third place Launceston. The extended bye giving the team a chance to refresh ahead of the finals.
Really content with the start to the year, but that's all it is, it's a start. So we know we want to be playing our best footy at the end of the year, and we feel like we're building towards that, which is good.
It's Bounce, Saturday afternoon, 2 p.m.
Today, Hobart 19 degrees, overnight temperatures surpassing any previous record for July since reporting begun. Launceston and Devonport reaching 15, Burnie 16. Bushy Park, the state's top with 20 degrees, 19 in Grove. Friendly Beaches 17, King Island, Smithton, St Helens, Maria Island and Strawn all 16, 11 the top for Lyweenie. There was some low-level cloud about elevated parts of the north today with a high over much of the state. A frontal cloud band approaches Tasmania from the west. Associated cloud can be seen over Victoria. The rest of the continent is relatively cloud-free with the exception of southern WA. A series of fronts approach Tasmania, with the first expected to cross the state on Friday morning and the second early on Saturday morning. The high moves over New South Wales as it moves to the east and north. Tomorrow, northwesterly winds 25 to 35 knots, although 20 to 30 knots about eastern waters. Winds will ease and tend west to northwesterly at 20 to 30 knots during the morning. A severe weather warning has been issued for damaging winds. A gale warning continues between Sandy Cape to Eddystone Point and also from Tasman Island to Sandy Cape. There is also a strong wind warning for remaining waters including southeast, inshore waters, central plateau lakes and southwest lakes. Winds easing in the south tomorrow, Hobart 16, Huonville 15 and 17 for Campania. Showers expected in the north, Launceston and Devonport 14. 13's the top for Georgetown. More showers for Burnie, Strawn and Wynyard, all 14. A shower or two in St Helens, 16's the top for Swansea and Port Arthur. Looking now to the weekend forecast, Saturday showers statewide, although little reaching the east in the afternoon. Snow falls to 700 metres in the morning with possible hail in the west and south. Sunday showers about the west, far south and Bass Strait Islands, isolated showers elsewhere. And as we approach a new week, Monday we can expect showers about the west and north, mainly fine elsewhere. Taking a look now to the mainland tomorrow, Broome 32 and sunny. Cairns can expect showers, 23 in Brisbane, Adelaide sunny and 17 degrees. And currently Hobart, partly cloudy, 16, also cloudy in Launceston and in Devonport. Now Kim, here's to hoping that those mild conditions continue as the Midwinter Fest celebrates 10 years of festivities in the Huon tomorrow.
Be big. Let's hope the wind stays away too. Thank you very much, Kyle. Well, that is all your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us. Good night.